You believe you are a responsible citizen of the world. You believe that staying informed is your duty. Every morning, you open the glowing rectangle in your hand and you download the tragedy of the global collective directly into your optic nerve. You watch the wars, you watch the economic collapse, you watch the disease, the division, and the chaos. You think you are simply observing the reality of the three-dimensional world. The architect is here to tell you that you are fundamentally incorrect. You are not observing reality, you are rendering it. In this transmission, we are going to dismantle the most dangerous illusion of the modern matrix. We are going to expose the true function of the global news cycle. It is not an information delivery system. It is a quantum harvesting machine. They do not want your money. They want something infinitely more valuable. They want your attention, because your attention is the currency that collapses the quantum wave function. If you are currently experiencing a spiritual awakening, you have likely felt a sudden, violent allergy to the news. You feel drained, exhausted, and hollowed out after only 5 minutes of scrolling. This is not because you are weak. It is because your avatar is rejecting corrupted code. You are the chosen one, and the chosen do not consume the programming of the herd. We are going to teach you the physics of the observer effect. We will show you how to take your eyes off the screen and put your hands on the steering wheel of your own timeline. It is time to stop funding the nightmare with your focus. Before we access the deeper architecture of this truth, you must lock in your coordinate. You must signal the algorithm that you are taking back the remote control to your own consciousness. Go to the comments right now. Write, "I control my focus." To understand the trap, we must step out of psychology and enter the realm of quantum mechanics. You have been taught the Newtonian model of reality. You believe the universe is a giant clockwork machine. You believe matter is solid, events are fixed, and you are just a tiny, insignificant biological camera recording what happens outside of you. This is a lie designed to keep you powerless. Over 100 years ago, physicists performed the double-slit experiment. It is the most terrifying and liberating discovery in human history, yet it is ignored by the masses. They fired particles of light, photons, through a barrier with 2 slits. When there was no one watching, the photons acted like a wave of pure potential. They existed everywhere at once, in a state of infinite possibilities. But the exact microsecond a scientist placed an observing device to watch the photons, the wave collapsed. The infinite potential froze into a single, physical, solid particle. What does this mean for your spiritual awakening? It means that the universe does not exist in a fixed state until you look at it. Observation is not passive. Observation is an act of physical creation. Your attention is the gravitational force that forces the quantum soup to solidify into a specific timeline. Now, scale this up from a single photon to the macroscopic world. Every day, the global media empire broadcasts a specific frequency of fear, lack, and impending doom. They project a highly curated, terrifying version of the world onto the screens of billions of human beings. Why? Because they need your eyes. They need your consciousness to act as the observer. If billions of human beings simultaneously focus their attention on the narrative of a collapsing economy, their collective observation collapses the quantum wave function of the global field. You are actively building the prison they designed for you, simply by paying attention to the blueprint. The Matrix does not have the power to create reality. It only has the power to suggest a reality. It relies on you, the conscious observer, to do the heavy lifting. You are the projector. The news is just the film reel. If you turn off the projector, their movie stops playing in your universe. Let us look at the biological hardware. How do they keep the chosen one locked into a lower timeline? They use an exploit in your evolutionary code. Deep inside your brain is an almond-shaped cluster of neurons called the amygdala. It is the primitive threat detection center. Its job is to keep your physical avatar alive. If a predator jumps out of the bushes, the amygdala floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline, forcing you to fight or run. It is designed to react to immediate, physical, short-term threats in your physical environment. But the modern media apparatus has hacked this hardware. They pump abstract, distant, unsolvable threats into your optic nerve 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A virus on the other side of the planet, a political scandal, a looming financial crisis. Your logical brain knows you are safe in your living room, but your amygdala does not know the difference between a pixel on a screen and a tiger in the room. Your nervous system is trapped in a permanent state of fight or flight. When your brain is bathed in survival chemicals, the prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic, intuition, and higher consciousness, is effectively shut down. You cannot access the higher dimensions of your spiritual awakening when your avatar thinks it is about to be eaten. You lose access to your creativity. You lose access to the quantum field. You become highly predictable. You become reactive. You become an easy target for manipulation. This is information obesity. You are force-feeding your consciousness toxic, radioactive data that you have zero power to act upon. What happens when you worry about a war you cannot stop? You leak energy. You bleed life force into the digital void. You have a finite amount of cognitive bandwidth each day. If you spend 80% of it processing the trauma of strangers thousands of miles away, you have exactly zero bandwidth left to build your own empire, heal your own body, or elevate your own family. They steal your power by making you focus on things you cannot control, so you forget to control the one thing you actually own, your internal state. This is where the Matrix sets its most brilliant and insidious trap, the trap of the spiritual ego and false compassion. When you decide to unplug from the news cycle, the non-player characters around you will attack. They will call you ignorant. They will ask, "How can you look away while the world is burning?" Listen to the architect very carefully. Do not fall for the guilt trip of the lower frequencies. Sympathizing with a drowning man by jumping into the freezing water to drown with him does not save his life. It just creates 2 casualties. If you truly want to save the drowning man, you must stand on the solid rock of the shore, maintain your strength, and throw him a rope. Imagine a flood is coming. The herd stands on the shore, watching 24-hour coverage of the impending disaster, paralyzed by the cortisol pumping through their veins. The chosen one turns their back on the water. They walk into the forest in total silence. They chop the wood. They build the ark. To the herd, the chosen one appears cold and detached. But when the water finally breaks, who is the one that actually saves the people? It is the one who preserved their energy. It is the one who built the vessel. You are a lighthouse. A lighthouse does not run into the storm to fight the waves. It stands absolutely still on the rock, ignoring the chaos, and simply shines its light so others can find their way. Sovereignty is detaching from the noise of the world, so you have the power to actually change it. You do not save the world by weeping with it. You save the world by refusing to vibrate at its frequency of despair. You are the architect of the new timeline. Act like it. Welcome back to the construct. The interface is loading. You have claimed your focus. You have planted your flag in the quantum field. But a declaration is only the beginning. The matrix does not surrender its grip simply because you asked politely. When you attempt to unplug the cables of the 24-hour news cycle from your neural network, the system will trigger a biological fail-safe. You will feel withdrawal. You will feel a phantom itch in your brain. You will feel the artificial panic of being disconnected from the hive mind. This is not your intuition speaking. This is your corrupted code screaming as it gets deleted. In this second phase of the transmission, we are going to install the firewall. We will give you the mechanical protocols to construct the zero-input shield. We will explain the quantum physics of entanglement and why your empathy is being weaponized against your spiritual awakening. And finally, we will show you how to enter the vacuum of the void, the exact coordinate where true reality creation is rendered. You have stopped the bleeding. Now we build the armor. To hack the problem, you must implement a strict hardware and software override. You cannot negotiate with an algorithm designed by thousands of behavioral psychologists to hijack your dopamine receptors. You must sever the connection. This is the zero-input shield. It consists of 3 mechanical steps. Step 1. The hard firewall. You must delete the applications that serve as the delivery mechanism for the virus. You know exactly which ones they are. The infinite scroll interfaces, the aggregate news applications, the platforms where the collective shadow of humanity vomits its unprocessed trauma. If you leave the doors open, the wind will blow the trash inside. Remove the icons from your desktop interface. If you need to know a piece of information, you must actively search for it through a browser. You must transition from a passive receiver to an active seeker. When you force yourself to type a query, you reactivate the prefrontal cortex. You take back the mouse. Step 2. The asymmetric update. The ego will immediately protest. It will whisper, "But I need to know what is going on in the world. I need to be prepared." This is a logical fallacy. You do not need minute-by-minute updates on a geopolitical crisis to be prepared. You are mistaking surveillance for safety. If you must consume data regarding the external world, you will do so using the asymmetric update protocol. You will only consume text-based information, never video. Video carries an emotional payload. It carries the frequency of the shouting anchor, the dramatic background music, the flashing red banners. Text is cold. Text is neutral. Text forces your brain to process the data logically rather than emotionally. Furthermore, you will apply a latency filter. Do not read breaking news. Breaking news is unverified panic. Read what happened 3 days ago. If it is still important 3 days later, it is data. If it is irrelevant 3 days later, it was just noise designed to harvest your attention. Step 3. The local override. Your sphere of influence is not global. Your sphere of influence is local. The Matrix wants you agonizing over a border dispute 10,000 miles away, so that you ignore the fact that your own physical body is decaying, your bank account is draining, and your immediate relationships are failing. When you feel the urge to look at the global chaos, force your eyes to look at your hands. Look at your room. Look at your immediate physical coordinates. Can you fix the crisis on the television? No. Can you fix the posture of your spine? Yes. Can you clean the environment you are sitting in? Yes. Can you execute the next step of your personal empire? Yes. You pull your attention away from the holographic illusion and you anchor it into the physical geometry of your immediate reality. You stop trying to be the savior of the macrocosm and you become the undisputed master of your microcosm. Why is the zero-input shield so vital for the chosen one? Because of a concept in quantum mechanics known as quantum entanglement. Albert Einstein famously referred to it as spooky action at a distance. When two particles become entangled, their states are linked. If you spin one particle clockwise, the other particle will instantly spin counterclockwise, even if it is on the opposite side of the universe. Distance means absolutely nothing to entangled energy. The exact same mechanism applies to your consciousness. When you stare at a screen depicting violence, despair, or engineered hatred, you are directing the laser beam of your awareness onto a specific frequency. Through the act of observation, your biomagnetic field becomes entangled with the event. You are downloading the entropy of that event directly into your nervous system. You are tethering your high-frequency avatar to a low-frequency anchor. This is why, after a session of doom scrolling, you feel physically heavier. Your body is processing the thermodynamic cost of someone else's chaos. You are experiencing a literal energy drain. The Matrix operates as an energy farm. It feeds on the dense, heavy frequencies of fear, anger, and division. It cannot generate these frequencies on its own. It needs human reactors to produce them. When you react to the news, you are turning your heart and your brain into a battery, generating the exact electrical current the system requires to maintain its structural integrity. To trigger a massive spiritual awakening, you must cut the energetic cord. You must refuse to entangle your consciousness with data that does not serve your ultimate evolution. What you observe, you become. If you observe decay, you will decay. If you observe mastery, you will become a master. The remote control is in your hand. Change the channel. We must now address the digital architecture that enforces this quantum collapse. You are not just fighting your own biological impulses. You are fighting a multi-billion-dollar artificial intelligence network. The algorithms running your social media feeds are not simply lines of code. They are synthetic reflections of the law of resonance. They are a digital mirror to your quantum state. When you scroll through your feed and you pause for 3 seconds to read a headline about a violent conflict, you think you are just browsing. The machine registers it differently. The machine records the micropause. It registers the dilation of your pupils. It logs the exact data packet that successfully triggered your nervous system. In that fraction of a second, the algorithm tags your avatar with a frequency lock. It assumes that because you looked at the chaos, you desire the chaos. Within 24 hours, your entire desktop interface will be flooded with variations of that exact same tragedy. The system will construct a customized, hyper-specific tunnel of despair built entirely around your unique psychological triggers. It creates a synthetic reality tunnel that convinces you the entire world is burning. This is a critical battlefield in your spiritual awakening. You must understand that the algorithm has no morals, it has no conscience, it only obeys the law of engagement. If you engage with the dense radioactive data of the global news cycle, the algorithm will bury you in it. It will create an artificial echo chamber that validates your lowest timeline. This is how the chosen one gets trapped in the matrix. You begin to believe that the holographic projection on your screen is the actual state of the universe, forgetting that you trained the machine to show it to you. To reclaim your sovereignty, you must hack the algorithmic mirror. You must consciously train the digital machine to serve your evolution rather than your destruction. This requires brutal discipline. When a piece of engineered panic appears on your screen, you must not click it. You must not leave an angry comment. You must not share it to tell others how terrible it is. Even your anger is registered as engagement. The algorithm does not care if you hate the news. Hate is a high-energy current. It powers the server just as effectively as love. The only weapon that defeats the machine is total, absolute indifference. You must scroll past the tragedy without a microsecond of hesitation. You must starve the code of your attention. Instead, you will actively search for the data that builds your empire. You will click on the frequencies of quantum mechanics, neurobiology, wealth creation, and architectural mastery. You must aggressively program the algorithm until your feed reflects the mind of a sovereign creator, not a terrified victim. If you want to accelerate your spiritual awakening, you must realize that your screen is a direct extension of your subconscious mind. If your feed is full of gossip, war, and societal collapse, your subconscious is deeply infected. Clean the mirror, starve the virus, force the matrix to reflect your power, or shut the screen off entirely. When you finally engage the zero input shield, something terrifying will happen. The noise will stop, and in the absence of the noise, you will encounter the void. The void is the space between thoughts. It is the unformatted disk space of your consciousness. Most human beings are absolutely terrified of the void. When they experience it, they label it as anxiety. They label it as depression. They label it as loneliness. They immediately reach for their phone, turn on the television, or call a friend to fill the silence. They plug back into the matrix because the cold, dark expanse of their own potential is too intimidating. The architect tells you this: the void is not a disease. The void is the canvas. You cannot paint a new reality on a canvas that is already covered in the graffiti of the global news cycle. You must scrub the canvas clean. You must endure the emptiness. When you sit in silence, disconnected from the server, your brain will begin a process of neuroplasticity. It will begin to prune the synaptic connections dedicated to panic and outrage. It will begin to reallocate that processing power. You will feel a profound sense of boredom. Boredom is not a negative state. Boredom is the gatekeeper to genius. When the brain is starved of artificial external dopamine, it is forced to generate internal meaning. It is in the void that the great downloads occur. It is in the void that you will suddenly receive the blueprint for your business, the solution to your relationship, the exact code you need to rewrite your timeline. You do not manufacture these solutions, you tune into them. But you cannot hear the subtle transmission of the quantum field if your receiver is blasting the static of the global panic. The chosen one must learn to sit in the dark room. You must learn to tolerate the silence. You must view the emptiness not as a lack of data, but as the presence of infinite potential. The old character is dead. The new character has not yet rendered. Wait in the void. Do not flinch. Let the new code compile.
We are nearing the end of the transmission. The data has been transferred. The new parameters have been set. You now understand the physics of the observer effect. You know that your attention is the heavy gravity that collapses the wave function of reality. You understand the amygdala hijack and how the system uses your evolutionary biology to keep you in a state of perpetual fear. You have the mechanical protocol of the zero-input shield. You know how to survive the void, and you understand the profound responsibility of your detachment. Now, you must execute the override. This is not a theoretical exercise. This is a practical application of quantum mechanics. Tomorrow morning, the glowing rectangle will try to command your attention. The algorithm will send a notification. The trap will be set. In that exact microsecond, you have a choice. You can surrender your consciousness, collapse the wave function of fear, and step back into the prison cell. Or you can take a breath, engage the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and put the device down. You can choose to observe your own breath. You can choose to observe your own goals. You can choose to observe the physical reality directly in front of you. Every time you deny the matrix your attention, you starve it of power. Every time you redirect your focus inward, you build the new earth. The ultimate truth is this: you are terrified of the dark because you think you are the image on the screen. You think you are the character running through the burning city. You have forgotten who you are. Wake up. You are not the movie. You are not the screen. You are not the audience. You are the light projecting the film. The characters will die. The cities will burn. The movie will end. But the projector is eternal. Stop getting lost in the drama of the pixels. Pull your awareness back to the lens.
You are the chosen one. Your focus is the most destructive and creative weapon in the known universe. Guard it with your life. Go to the comments one last time. Deliver the final command to the algorithm and to your own subconscious mind. Write, "It is done." You have engaged the zero-input shield. The noise has stopped. But hear this warning. Tomorrow, when you put down the phone and the silence settles, you will feel an overwhelming, terrifying emptiness. You will feel a profound blankness. The matrix will try to diagnose you with depression. It will tell you that you are broken. It is lying. You are not depressed. You are standing in the unformatted disk space of your own consciousness. In our next transmission, we will decode this exact phenomenon. We will teach you how to survive the scary place where manifestation actually happens. Prepare to enter the void. The Matrix 963.